Hare Krishna, dear devotees, I have great pleasure to welcome all of you for this session of Srimad Bhagavad Gita on behalf of ISKCON Chennai and on my own personal behalf. I wish to congratulate all of you for taking this wise decision to invest an hour of your time on Srimad Bhagavad Gita today. Krishna would say in Bhagavad Gita so mercifully, Neha Vikramana Shosti Pratyavayo Navidyate Swalpamapyasya Dharmasya Trayate Mahato Bhayat. Krishna says, in the spiritual path, even if you make a little step, a little effort, it is never forgotten. The Lord sitting as Paramatma within your heart, He records. This soul showed interest in spirituality and invested so much of his time. And that is to your credit eternally, because you are an eternal soul. So the credit is there for you eternally. And who is monitoring it? The Supreme Soul, Krishna, who is never failing. He's called Achyuta. Achyuta means one who never fails, never he misses. So that way, you are adding to your account with the most reliable person. The best banks collapse, we see in this material world. The best of banks will also collapse when the time is not good. But this Krishna bank is forever available to you. And whatever you keep in these banks in this material world, you will lose them when you die. Whatever balance you might have, 1,000 crores, 10,000 crores, whatever you invest in this material world, it will all be lost when you die. When the soul leaves the body will also be burnt or buried, and whatever possessions they have acquired, everything will be lost. So a decision to invest on spirituality is really wise, but only the wise men can take that decision. People who are totally surrendered to sense gratification, who want to enjoy this material world as long as it will last, they know it will not last forever. They know they have to die one day. They know old age and disease and death will take over. But still, within the available time, they only think they should enjoy. Until you turn to spirituality, until you turn to saintly people, you will never know what to do with your life. So that is a great fortune we all have, that the Supreme Lord has spoken Bhagavad Gita to us. And He has also sent acharyas, saintly persons, to come and teach us this Bhagavad Gita and give us the proper understanding. So once again, I congratulate all of you for staying with us, and I am assuring you that you will not go empty-handed. The Supreme Lord will always remember this spiritual effort that you have invested in today. Hare Krishna. Let us start with our Mangalacharanam prayers and invoke auspiciousness on this session, so that everyone, the speaker and the listener, everyone should benefit and make progress further, go closer to Krishna. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnana-Timirandasya Jnananjana-Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya-Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namavom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Shri Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Neelachala Nivasaya Nityaya Paramatmane Balabhadra Subhadrabhyam Shri Jagannathaya Te Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha. Panchatattvaatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langai girim yatkripa tamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatharinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hari Om Tatsat. Sarvopanishato gavo dogda gopalanandanaha partho vatsaha sudhir bhokta dugdam Gita amritam mahat. Hare Krishna. So let us drink the Gita amritam which Krishna has milked from all the Upanishads, standing as a cow and Arjuna standing as a calf. He has milked from the Upanishads, and this nectar of Bhagavad Gita, the Lord is giving it to us to drink. So by drinking this nectar, we will also become Amrit. Amrit means deathless. We will go beyond death. Hare Krishna. So let us start with, we ended with the 45th Sloka in the last session. There, Krishna concluded, everyone who belongs to any varna, whether Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, can become perfect. How? By following one's own qualities of work. So now the explanations will follow in today's shlokas from 46 to 54. So the comments Krishna is making here, any varna, Brahmana is supposed to be the superior varna, the most superior varna, and Shudra is supposed to be the most inferior varna, and in between you have Kshatriya and Vaishya. They have different qualities and they have different kinds of approach to work, approach to life, they have different value systems, attitudes, etc. So how can they all achieve the same perfection? We are not talking about different perfections. Perfection means perfection of the soul. That means the soul should attain its ultimate goal. That's called perfection. And Krishna is saying, whether the soul is in the body of a Brahmana or Shudra, the soul can still attain perfection. So you can see in the spiritual path, there is perfect equality. There is no discrimination. In the material world, we see discrimination and we attribute it to religion. But unfortunately, it is not so. The discrimination is based on political, social, and other reasons, exploitative reasons. It is not because of religion. Religion sees the soul present in every body, not only human bodies. What to speak of Brahmana and Shudra? Even the body of an ant contains the same soul and it deserves the same amount of respect, same amount of compassion. So, why would anybody treat with discrimination a human being who may be a Brahmana or Kshatriya or Shudra by birth? It is impossible. If religion was properly taught, that would be complete respect to each and every living entity. Nobody would actually discriminate because they will know if they discriminate, the Lord is unhappy because the Paramatma is also sitting within everyone. Whether somebody is a Shudra or a Brahmana, Paramatma is sitting inside. Not only that the soul is the same, in this birth it may be in a Shudra body, and in the next birth it may get into a Brahmana body, or a Brahmana in this birth may become a Shudra in the next birth. It is only the change of bodies. The soul is the same. So the soul is neither Brahmana or Shudra. So the kind of criticism that is going on today in the modern world, it has nothing to do with religion. But they would like to put all the blame on the doorstep of religion and say we want a secular world so that they can exploit everybody freely. If religion is given to the people, exploitation will become impossible because religion makes you truly independent. Everybody will start working for their own perfection. And when they do that, they are free from exploitation by anybody else. Because they are no longer attached too much to their body. They are they realize that whether I am in a Brahmana body or a Shudra body, I have to undergo birth, old age, disease, and death. I have to undergo the same kind of miseries everybody undergoes. Not only a human being, even an animal or a plant has to undergo this birth, old age, disease, and death. So anyone born in this material world has to suffer all these things. So the Krishna is very clearly expressing that a Shudra need not become a Brahmana before becoming perfect. It is not that a Shudra should die, then he should take birth in a Brahmana body, and then he should get perfection. Right? It's not the case. In any Varna, one can attain perfection. This is the amazing conclusion that Krishna gave in the last class, and now we are going to see how it is going to happen. So Krishna also said how it can be done. You have to only follow your own qualities of work. That is called Varna. The occupational duty, Prabhupada translates in his books as occupational duty. That is the translation of Varna. So what is this occupational duty? Depending on one's own quality, which is whether sattva, raja, tamo, or different combinations. Somebody has more sattva, somebody has less sattva, more rajo. Depending on that, a person has a particular quality innate in him. How this quality has come from his previous births, in his previous lifetimes. Like we say, sow a thought, S-O-W, sow a thought, reap an action, sow an action, reap a habit, sow a habit, reap a character, sow a character, and reap a destiny. Yeah. So it starts with thought. Thought becomes action. Action becomes, once you do some action, then it slowly becomes a habit. The habit becomes your character, and the character eventually that will be your destiny. What is the character? That is defined as the guna. Guna. The guna becomes entrenched in a person because of his habits. So somebody becomes tamo in nature, meaning he's procrastinating, always miserable, always hankering for sense gratification, never thinking about tomorrow, no interest in spiritual life. That characterizes a person in tamogun. How did this tamogun develop? It developed because of past habits. So this is how we have. So there is no question of saying that God has discriminated between one person and another person. God has not discriminated. This can be discussed. It can be a pretty long discussion. But to cut it short, I request all of you, till you get a proper explanation, at least stop blaming God in your heart for anything negative in this world or in your life. God is blame free. But of course, it will need to be explained. It can be explained, but it takes some time. Maybe in another class we will do that. But for our own good, let us not shift the blame on God for whatever we are suffering today. And also, let us not shift the responsibility on God to redeem us. We should not think, oh, today I have so many problems, I have no time for spiritual life, I cannot invest time. Because of the destiny God has given to me, I have to work hard to support my family, or my health is not good. So only God has to do something for me, then not possible. Like they give a story of someone who was living in a house, and there was suddenly a flood, and the flood started rising, and people were warning, please get out of your house, go to a high ground, so flood is coming, like that. But this man said, I am depending on God. God only should save me. So he was simply sitting there. Everybody was leaving and running away. After some time, the flood started rising. This man went from his ground floor to the upper floor, and he was waiting for God to come. The water level rose to the upper floor also. Then a boatman came. He came very close to him, and he said, please jump into my boat, I will save you. He said, no, I am depending on God. Then after some time the boat left, and then a helicopter came. They dropped a rope, and he said, please hold on, I will pull you up. This man refused to take the rope also, and finally the water rose and he died. And he went to the heaven, and he to Yamaraj, and he questioned Yamaraj, I depended on God, why God did not save me? And the reply was, I came to you in so many ways. I gave you a warning. I wanted you to go to a high ground. Then I came as a boatman. I came as a helicopter man. But all these things you rejected. You rejected the hand of God. So, in that sense, we should take responsibility for our own life. For that reason, I am giving you one more argument. The argument is we have only put ourselves in the situation that we are in today. God is not responsible. No one else is responsible. We, by our own actions, as I said, thought, action, habit, character, destiny, we have created our own destiny, what we are experiencing today, by our own past actions. So, if we want to get out of this, that also we should only do. It is our responsibility to change the way we think, the way we act. This fundamental change has to come. That means we have to change the guna. I am in tamogun, I have to gradually move towards rajogun, sattvagun, and that way I will be able to gradually purify myself. And that is achieved by varnashrama dharma. How? That we will see in the coming shlokas. So, Krishna is saying, you don't worry. Whatever guna you are in, accordingly you have an occupation. And engage in that occupation sincerely. Do that job sincerely. Don't look at the faults in that work. Just by sincerely doing that work and offering the results to me, you can attain perfection. So we will see, we will go into the shlokas now. So now 46 onwards, I will read a few shlokas and then we will go into explanations. 1846. Yata pravrittirbhutanam yena sarvamidam tatam swakarmanatam abhyachya siddhim vindati manavah shreyan swadharmo vigunaha paradharmat swanushthitat svabhavaniyatam karma kurvannapnoti kilbhisham sahajam karma kaunteya sadoshamapi natyajet sarvarambha hi doshena dhumenagner ivavritihi. So up to this 48 shloka I will now explain. So 46 says, whatever work you are engaged. So how you are engaged? You are engaged in a work according to your quality. Whether it is sattva, rajo, tamogun, whatever our own nature, accordingly we are engaged in a particular activity. This is what we should do actually. By performing work which is according to our own nature, we are able to purify ourselves. In the next shloka, Krishna will say, don't for heaven's sake try to do another man's occupation. You do your own occupation which is according to your guna. Even if you do it imperfectly, fine. So now what Krishna is saying, whatever work you do that, and by the fruits of that work, you worship the Lord. Worship the Lord, who is all pervading. The Lord is all pervading, and you have to think that this Lord is only engaging me in whatever work I am doing. That means He is the master, I am His servant. So I am working as a servant. The fruit will actually go to the master. So Prabhupada would give an example of a carpenter whom I am engaging. I am the master of the house. I am engaging the carpenter to make some furniture. I am providing all the materials what is needed, and he sits and makes the furniture. Now the furniture belongs to who? The master or to the carpenter? Master is the owner of everything. Carpenter is only a servant. So the master will take the furniture what is made by him, and the master will give whatever remuneration is required for that worker. So we have to remember, I am working for God. My remuneration is also coming from God. Whatever remuneration God will give, I will accept it because God knows exactly what I deserve. So I have to do work in that mood that my master for this work is God, and I am working for His pleasure. And then whatever I earn from that work, I must use it to worship the Supreme Lord. How to worship the Supreme Lord? Even when I maintain my family, that is also a worship of the Lord if I engage my family also in the service of the Lord. I have to see myself as a servant of the Lord. I have to see my wife, my children, everyone in the family, my dependents as servants of Krishna. So, in that mood, when I feed them, I am feeding the children of Krishna. They are all children of Krishna. I can see the safest position is to see myself as servant of Krishna and see the rest of the members of my family as children of Krishna. So if Krishna is my master and I am his servant, the members of my household are all children of Krishna. That means they are children of my master. So I should have that mood in serving them. Even though sometimes I may be chastising my son who is not doing things properly, or I find fault with him, I correct him. When I do all these things, also my mood should be he or she is a child of Krishna. So I am helping this child to progress towards Krishna. So the mood should be of a servant only, not that I am the head of the family. Head of the family is only Krishna. He is the master, he is the head. The rest of us are all his children, but towards myself, my mood should be I am a servant of Krishna. And towards the rest of the members of the family, they are children of Krishna. In that mood, we have to do our services very nicely. Whatever, we cannot deal the same way with everyone. Wife has to be treated in a particular way, husband should be treated in a particular way, parents in a particular way, children in a particular way, grandchildren in a particular way. Yes, we have to deal with them individually as they deserve. But our mood should be that I am a servant and they are all children of Krishna. I hope this is understood. So, this way we attain the highest perfection of life. Now, there is no question about the nature of work you are doing. Whether your work is of a Shudra or a Kshatriya, Vaishya or Brahmana, no questions asked. If you work in this mood. So, Prabhupada gives some nice points in the purport. What Prabhupada says, Krishna is the Supreme Lord and everything comes from Him. Okay, everything means including my soul. So here the translation is Krishna is the source of all beings and He is all pervading. He is the source of all beings. So the soul comes from Krishna. So that is my source. So I have to worship the source. And at the same time, I should remember that Krishna is all pervading. All pervading. So Prabhupada supplies a very important information. The Supreme Lord is Krishna and he has got two energies. We have already read it. He has one energy called superior energy, which is the Jiva, and inferior energy, which is the material world. It is also called the external energy of Krishna. So the entire material world is the external energy of Krishna. This external energy is simply a perverted reflection of Krishna's internal energy. That is a superior energy. And what is this internal energy? That is the entire spiritual world. The spiritual world we call Vaikuntha, Goloka, like that. These are all spiritual worlds. They are within the internal energy of Krishna and they are perfect. The internal energy is also populated by souls which are perfect. That is the perfection we want to attain. But we are imperfect right now. So we are in the imperfect material world. So Prabhupada supplies this information. Pure devotees always worship Krishna through his internal energy. In the external energy, Krishna is not directly visible. In our material world is just a background. But he is pervading this background. Krishna is pervading this background as Paramatma. In every atomic particle in this material world, Krishna is there as Paramatma. So we can worship that Paramatma as pervading, all pervading in this material world. So whatever work I do, I can do it as an offering to him. The all pervading Paramatma. That will bring perfection of life. I don't have to worry, oh, I am born Brahmana, Shudra, etc. So I want to give you a small story regarding this. It is from the scripture. There was one sannyasi. He was called Kaushika Brahmana. He was doing tapasya in the forest, very, very difficult tapasya he was doing. And as a result, he got some special powers. What happened? When he finished his tapasya, one crow was sitting on the tree and it dropped, its refuse on his head. Immediately, this sannyasi looked up angrily at the crow. The crow it burnt into ashes. The crow was burnt into ashes. When he looked angrily at the crow, then the sannyasi realized, oh, I have got some mystic powers. Now the whole world will respect me. Thought like that. And then he got up from the forest. He went to the nearby village. He went to one house and he begged for food. Bhavadi Bhikshandehi, like that. For some time, nobody came. After some time, the lady from the household, she came out with some rice to offer to him. But then this sannyasi looked at her very angrily, that you have delayed me, I am such a great man, in that mood. You know what she immediately said? She said, don't think I am also a crow. Don't think I am also a crow. She said only that much. But immediately the sannyasi realized, how did she know what happened in the forest? There was no witness. I am the only witness. How does she know? So before he could ask this question to her, the lady said, if you want the answer to how I know, you go to the corner of the street, there is a butcher shop. You ask the butcher. He can answer you. So she did not even ask the question. She answered it already. With great surprise, he went to the butcher shop. The butcher was busy cutting meat and distributing. That was his job. So that was early in the morning. He was very busy with his customers. He, without looking up, he told the sannyasi, oh, did that Brahmani send you? That lady, did she send you? Okay, sit in this bench. I will come to you. I am a little busy. I will finish this business and then I will go home and serve my parents and you can come with me. Then we will discuss. So he was again so much more amazed. And finally, the butcher wound up his shop and took this man along with him to his house. There he started feeding his parents, massaging their feet and serving them in so many ways. And then when he became slightly free, the butcher explained that I am doing my duty. I am a butcher by my profession. And this profession I am doing with all sincerity as an offering to God. And I am executing my duties to my parents. Whatever duties the Lord has given to me, I am doing that. Because of that, the Lord has given me these spiritual intuitions that I can understand. Same with that Brahmani, she is a chaste housewife. She was serving her husband and her children when you went. And that is why she did not come immediately, but you became angry. So she told you that you don't know these things, higher things. What is the higher things? Performing one's own duty sincerely. So this is called Vyada Gita. It's in the scripture. Vyada means the name of a butcher in Sanskrit, Vyada Gita. So similarly, Pundalik, we know the story of Pandharpur, where Krishna himself went to see Pundalik to see how he was serving his parents so nicely. But when Krishna came, Pundalik was busy. So he threw one brick and he said, Krishna, please stand on this brick. I never called you, but anyway you have come. You have to wait. I have to serve my parents, then only I can attend to you. And Krishna became so happy, he's still standing like that, with his arms in the waist, so pleased with his devotee. So ultimately, when we do our service, not for enjoying the results, we are offering the results to God. We are doing it all sincerity and humility, our own duty. Whether I am a butcher or a general or a brahmana, whatever, I have to do my duty properly. So that is the message that we are getting in this shloka. I wanted to also give the story of Rajavasis, but of course, if I have to explain, it will take a long, long time. But simply put, Rajavasis are pure lovers of Krishna. They are purely in love with Krishna. And at the same time, They're all doing their own work. Somebody is milking the cow, somebody is grazing the cow, somebody is collecting the cow dung, somebody is making cow dung cakes, somebody is taking butter and ghee and distributing, selling in the neighboring villages. They're all doing their respective household work, but at the same time, their mind is entirely on the Supreme Lord Krishna. So that way is what we have to practice. So here, Krishna is further adding, one should engage in one's own occupation. He is stressing that we should not take up another man's occupation. Even if I cannot do my own duty perfectly, it is still better to do my own duty, however imperfectly, than to accept another's occupation and to do it perfectly. Duties conforming to one's own nature are not affected by sinful reactions. Like we talked about the butcher, for example, here. Butchering is a sinful activity, but he's been doing it traditionally. It has been passed on from father to son like that. And he's doing that job not for making huge profits so that he can build a skyscraper building, buy a Mercedes car, and he can take a world tour. No, he's not building a very big mechanized slaughterhouse for thousands of cows. He's expanding the business to the neighboring cities. Nothing like that. He is just maintaining himself by this occupation. He knows it is not a very gentleman occupation. It involves killing. So he is doing what is necessary to maintain himself. So that is a mood of someone who is doing his occupational duty. He is doing his occupational duty because this is my varna, this is my nature. According to my nature, I am serving as per the instructions of the Lord. I am doing this work only to maintain myself and my family and to execute my duties properly. Whatever duties are there to my family, to my neighbors, to my relatives, to the rishis, to the devatas, to my ancestors, I will execute my duties. For that purpose, I need some income. For that income, I am executing work according to my own nature. So these are the key points that we have to remember. Not that once I know what is my nature, then I will do some big business and set up a huge factory and make huge profits and then build a multi-storied apartment for myself, buy properties in various cities. That is not it. This existence in the material world itself is miserable. We are not trying to become more and more comfortable by accumulating more and more wealth or name and fame, power and position. Nothing. We have to exist in this world until our time comes. Till that time, we have to do whatever we do as a service to the Lord. And whatever results we get from our work, we should not be attached to it. Rather, with the results, we should worship the Lord. So these are the things. So Krishna is clearly telling, don't take up another man's occupation. Even if you do it perfectly, you will only accrue sin. So don't disregard spiritual injunctions. And don't forget that if you do another man's work, you'll create future bondage. Future bondage. Or it may cause violence and distress to others. So one should be very, very careful in choosing the occupation according to one's own nature. So we usually, questions will come why Dronacharya asked Ekalavya to give his thumb, even though Dronacharya never taught Ekalavya directly. He refused, but Ekalavya made a statue of Dronacharya, and from that he became a very powerful archer who can compete with Arjuna also. But Dronacharya said, you have to give me Guru Dakshina, and the Guru Dakshina is, give me your right thumb. And immediately Ekalavya gave it. The story is, again, we have to understand that this is the Varnashrama system has to be protected. Here is a boy who is not a Kshatriya, but he wants to develop Kshatriya skills. But a Kshatriya nature is predominantly Rajoguna, but he also has Sattvaguna. Only people with that kind of combination, the Guru will identify and he will say, you are a Kshatriya. And accordingly, he will train him. But if someone who is in Tamoguna or has no Sattvaguna, If he is trained as a Kshatriya, he will bring harm to the society. So, to protect the society, this individual has to be curbed, has to be controlled. So, you have to understand the traditional society or a spiritual society, the focus is on protection of the whole society in a spiritual way. If the society is disturbed, the spiritual process is lost. People don't make any more spiritual progress. The whole setup becomes confused and there is no further progress. The whole society will start going in reverse. If you become too much focused on individual rights at the cost of scriptural injunctions, then the society will suffer. So, in the name of giving individual freedom to XYZ, you are causing suffering to the whole society. So, that was the reason why Ekalavya was prevented by Drona. In the interest of the society, it was not Drona's selfish interest or a narrow perspective. This was the way people upheld the Varnashrama system. So, yeah, other examples there may not be time to discuss. Only thing what I wanted to mention is Arjuna wanted to become a sannyasi, Krishna refused. Becoming a sannyasi is something noble. But Arjuna says, I don't want to fight Krishna, I want to become sannyasi. Krishna said, sorry, that's not your nature. You are a Kshatriya and it is for you to fight. You are refusing to fight because you have to kill people. But as a Kshatriya, there will be imperfections in the work. That Krishna explains as this in this Sloka, 48th Sloka. Krishna says, every kind of work there is some fault. Whether you are a Brahmana, say for example as a Brahmana, somebody has to do Ashwamedha Yajna, they have to kill a horse. I am not going into details why they have to kill a horse, etc. There are sufficient explanations. One thing all of you should remember, anything done in a scriptural way, there are sound arguments. We won't be able to see it directly because we need guidance to understand. So one thing, our mindset should be, if you don't understand, you should think, oh, I don't understand. There is an explanation for this. Why God behaved in a particular way, why a saintly person behaved in a particular way, there must be explanations. I have not yet understood. But if I approach the right person, they can explain. Like that, we should develop that faith. This will save you from a lot of trouble. Otherwise, all around you nowadays, people are rewriting Ramayana, rewriting Mahabharata, rewriting the characters of various personalities so that villains are becoming heroes. But remember, Mahabharata was written by Vyasadeva, who was present at that time. Not only that, he is a major player in the whole Mahabharata story. After all, he is the father of Dhritarashtra, Pandu, and Vidura. He is the father, and he is the same person who is writing in a very neutral way. He is clearly explaining the characters of everybody. He doesn't call Karna as a hero. Then how did Karna become a hero? Because today writers want to become heroes themselves by perverting the theme of the story, rewriting Mahabharata, rewriting Ramayana with personal agenda. So they will always create problem in your mind. They will say, why did Ram kill Vali from hiding? They will ask such questions. Or there is also a story in the Uttarakhand where Rama had to kill someone who was performing tapasya because he was not qualified. So people will ask all these questions. So let us first remember that anything that happens, you read in the scripture, there are very valid explanations. You may or may not be able to understand it now, but you have to give that benefit of doubt that I am still a beginner. I cannot understand this. But there is a definite valid explanation. So if you learn to give the benefit of doubt to the scripture and to God, then you can progress nicely. Your answers will come. Either the answers will come from within you or your Acharya will give you the answers. Please have that patience. Everything cannot be explained in one day. But most importantly, we have understood what is Varnashrama. Varnashrama is a mechanism for the protection of the whole society, not for one individual. So, from a very individualistic point of view, sometimes it may look unfair. But if you remember, every individual is part of the society, then you will realize that even the society is protected, the individual is also automatically protected. So, such doubts will not arise. But in the name of protecting the individual, we allow the whole society to become perverted. Today, that is what is happening. If there is a perversion in XYZ, that need not be celebrated, that need not make headlines in the newspapers, and one need not start organizations with branches all over the world. Here is a perversion and we want to celebrate this perversion. No need for that. Okay, there's a perversion, you accept it, but why do you want to celebrate it? That is, the aim is to pervert the whole society. That should not be tolerated. So Varnashrama system was always focused on the society, and the system was implemented by Brahmanas who lived in forest. They had no vested agenda at all because they lived in forest. What does a man living in the forest need? Their involvement in guiding the society is purely selfless. They have no selfish need at all. The king is bound to take the advice of the Brahmana. So that way, the Varnashrama was implemented in a meticulous way so that individuals should not unnecessarily suffer. But the society should be protected. That is one point you have to remember. Society protected. Secondly, the focus is on spiritual advancement of souls. It's not a material concept at all. After all, a person takes birth as a Brahmana or a Shudra because of his past actions in previous lifetimes. So the whole business is regarding the soul, not about the body. So we should remember that. So Varnashrama system is for the spiritual advancement of the soul. But if you deny the soul, then how can you explain Varnashrama to people? So people who reject the concept of Varnashrama or the concept of the soul or karma or reincarnation or the existence of God, etc., then how can you explain to them? So this is the key element. When you say secular, you are putting God in a corner and you are saying, I am not interested. Whether there is God or not, I am not interested. I am not interested in the morals and ethics which are found in religious textbooks. I don't care. I will make my laws for my own people. I have a country and I am voted to power by my people. And whatever my people want, I will make laws according to that. I don't care what God's laws are. So, in such a situation, what is the chance for Varnashrama to exist and survive? And where is the hope for people to learn about the soul and emancipation of the soul? The chance is not at all there. So, anyway, in this 48th sloka, Krishna says, just like fire is accompanied by smoke, but the fire is still useful. We are not rejecting fire because there is smoke. So Krishna says in any occupation, there will be some fault. So like a Brahmana is doing sacrifice, sometimes he has to kill animals. Or a Kshatriya, he has to go and hunt wild animals in the forest. Or if there is a battle, he has to kill his enemies. And a Vaishya, because he is in business, sometimes he has to tell lies also. And sometimes he has to make extra profits also so that he can maintain his business. So there is a problem. Similarly, a Shudra, he has to serve under his master. Supposing the master is not very perfect, but whatever work given by the master, Shudra has to do. So in all these cases, the imperfections will not create any setback to the person concerned. I am a Brahmana, there are imperfections in my Brahminical duty, still I will be forgiven, provided I sincerely execute my duty without attachment to the fruits of my duty. So these are the points to be remembered. And I will read the 49th sloka. I will read from 49 to 54 and I will explain. Asakta buddhi sarvatra chitatma vigataspruha naishkarmya siddhim paramam sanyasena vigacchati. We will stop here. 49th sloka. Krishna is telling such a person who is engaged in his own occupational duty but without any attachment. He is not interested in any material enjoyment that may be available. He is unattached to the work and the fruits of that work. He is simply executing it as a matter of duty, as a service to the Supreme Lord. He is self controlled, and then he becomes a renunciant. He is actually a renunciant, Tyagi. He is equal to a sannyasi. He is equal to a sannyasi. So Prabhupada writes here, without taking sannyas, simply by engaging in my occupation as a Shudra, let us say, I am a Shudra, I am executing my Shudra duties. There may be imperfections in the way I execute my duty, but still, if I do it for the pleasure of the Lord, and with whatever fruits I get from my work, I worship the Lord, and I am not attached to enjoyment, then I am as good as a sannyas. Sannyas is the highest uh, form of ashrama, but a grihastha, Shudra, can attain the benefit of a sannyasi simply by following these rules. Simply by following these rules. Constantly he should remember, I am the servant of God. I am not the enjoyer of the fruit of my work. I am doing this work for the pleasure of God because He is my master. He is my source. We saw in the first 46 Sloka. We have all come from Supreme Lord. So He is the source. So we have to worship that source. In that mood, we can get the highest perfection stage of freedom from reaction. See, a sannyasi does not do any work. He is totally renounced. So he doesn't experience any reaction. But here, a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, they are actually working. They are performing karma. But still, he will not experience any reaction. He will get freedom from reaction if he works in this mode. He will be considered as a sannyasi. This is the 49th sloka. And 50th sloka. सिद्धिं प्राप्तो यतो ब्रह्म तथा प्नोति निबोध मे समासेनैव कौन्तेय निष्ठा ज्ञानस्य या परा. So Krishna is taking to the next step. Okay, so now we have attained perfection in your work. What happens to you next? So that Krishna says in the next few shlokas. So what he's telling, if you are able to work in this mood, you can attain the supreme perfectional stage. What is the supreme perfectional stage? You go back to Krishna. There is a supreme perfectional stage. So Krishna will explain how it happens. How it happens. So that is explained in 51 to 53. These three shlokas I will read now. Buddhya vishuddhaya yukto dhrityatmanam niyamya cha shabdadin vishayams tyaktva ragadvesha vyudasya cha vivikta sevi lagvashi yata vakkaya manasah dhyana yoga paro nityam vairagyam samupashritaha ahankaram balam darpam kamam krodam parigraham vimuchya nirmamashanto brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So it's an amazing set of three shlokas. Krishna explains what happens to a person who is working in this mood, what we have already discussed, executing his duties in a totally detached way for the pleasure of God. He is executing his varnashrama duties. So what happens to him? His intelligence becomes purified. Please remember, a purified intelligence means what? He is no longer thinking that he is the body. He is no longer thinking, I am Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. He gets to that situation where he realizes, I am a soul trapped in this body. I am a soul and I have to become liberated. Simply by performing one's varnashrama duties, we will rise to this level. Even a Shudra will rise to this level. Intelligence is purified. That purified intelligence controls the mind. As long as intelligence is polluted by bodily identification, you cannot control the mind. But when intelligence is pure, mind is controlled with firm determination. The intelligence is able to control the mind. Intelligence is superior to the mind only when it is pure. And then he is able to give up sense gratification. When the mind is controlled, the mind cannot run after sense objects. So sense gratification becomes controlled. At that point, he has no more attachment or hatred to the outcome of his work. He will neither care about victory or defeat, profit or loss, joy or sorrow in this material world. He will become free. And such a person, what happens to him? He is no longer very keen to mix with people, who are in a very materialistic atmosphere. So, even if he is living in the city among millions of people, he will be secluded. He may not be physically secluded, but he will be mentally secluded. He will, he will be mentally secluded. He will not be disturbed by what is going on around him. All the hustle bustle around him will not disturb him. Then his eating becomes controlled, his body, mind, and speech become controlled, and he's always in a transcendental consciousness, totally detached from material world. False ego means this is me, body is me. That is the false ego. False strength, pride, lust, anger. He becomes free from all these things. And he doesn't claim ownership to anything, and he becomes completely peaceful. For this, Prabhupada quotes one of the slokas from Bhagavad Gita, from second chapter. What is this shloka? An amazing shloka. I will read it out. Apuryamanam achala pratishtham samudramapaha pravishanti yadvat tadvat kamayam pravishanti sarve shashanti mapnoti nakamakami. Translation goes like this. Please listen very carefully. Very beautiful. A person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that enter like rivers enter into the ocean, which is ever being filled, but it is always still. Such a person alone can achieve peace, not the man who strives to satisfy such desires. See, an amazing example is given here. There is the ocean, which is filled with water. All the time, rivers are flowing into the ocean. Rivers are flowing into the ocean. But the ocean doesn't swell. The ocean remains within its limits. Even though so many rivers are emptying their water into the ocean in the monsoon season or in the summer season, there is no flow in the rivers. The ocean does not dry up. So it remains neutral whether there is so much water flowing in or there is less water flowing in. Similarly, a person of God, even though there are material desires, he is not disturbed by them. Even though there are so many sense objects and sense gratification desires which are entering into him, he doesn't care about them. Why he doesn't care about them? Because he is full in himself. The ocean is full in itself. Similarly, a spiritual person is full in himself. So the events in his life don't disturb him. It neither makes him proud or envious or angry or lusty. These effects don't occur in him. He remains always peaceful. So this is called supreme perfectional stage or Brahman stage. A person who reaches this platform, he goes beyond the three gunas and he is established in Brahman. So that is the point we have to understand. So simply by performing our occupational duty, which is according to our varna, in a mood of detachment, in a mood of offering to Krishna, we reach the stage of Brahman. So now we come to the last sloka of today, which is again a very amazing sloka. It is worth memorizing. It's a very famous sloka in Bhagavad Gita. Brahma bhuta prasannatma nashochati na kakshati samasarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labhate param. So Krishna is saying, by attaining this transcendental situation, I already explained it to you how it is transcendental, because such a person is not within Rajogun, Sattvagun or Tamogun. He has gone beyond the gunas by detaching from bodily consciousness. He is detached from his senses. He is detached from sense gratification. By this, he has gone beyond the gunas. So he is in transcendental situation. At that level, he becomes one with Brahman, Brahma Bhuta. Brahma Bhuta. The translation is he becomes one with the absolute truth. He becomes one with absolute truth. And what happens to him? He becomes fully joyful because Brahman is joyful. He becomes one with Brahman, so he becomes joyful. And Brahman has no lamenting or desiring. Brahman is beyond material creation. So, same way, this person also has no lamentation or has no desires. He is equal to every living entity. Samaha sarveshu bhuteshu. He is equal to all living entities. In such a state, this sentence, the last sentence, please mark. This is very, very important. Mad bhaktim labhate param. So once he reaches this situation, he develops pure bhakti to me, Krishna says. Such a person becomes my pure devotee. So here is the real explanation that I want to give you. This is very, very important because usually the jnanis or impersonalists, they want to become one with the Supreme Brahman. Yes, that is a transcendental position. They want to merge in the Supreme Brahman because they don't recognize a personal God. They don't recognize God as a person. They don't recognize God has a body, has mind, and he has got thinking, feeling, willing. He has a personality. So for them, it ends with becoming one with Brahman. After that, no activity because Brahman is inactive, the soul becomes inactive. This is their understanding. But see clearly what Krishna is telling. After becoming one with Brahman, that person attains pure devotional service to me. So that means Krishna is still there, the individual soul is also there, and there is bhakti, which is connecting the soul and Krishna. So please understand, becoming one with the absolute means becoming a pure devotee. That relationship is available at the level of Brahman. But those who are jnanis, those who want to merge, they will not be allowed entry into this devotional service. They will simply remain in Brahman without any activity. After some time, they will become so bored, they will come back into the material world. So that's not really perfection. Even though with great difficulty they have gone to a transcendental platform. But because they have not developed a bhakti towards Krishna, a loving devotional attitude towards Krishna, they will fall down. But clearly, Krishna is saying someone who has reached the Brahmabhuta stage, that means he has become one with Brahman, he attains pure devotional service to me and then he will serve Krishna. So, Prabhupada again gives an amazing point here. The point is if you are engaged in the service of Krishna right now, you are already in the Brahmabhuta stage. You have already become one with the Absolute. It will be very difficult for us to understand this, but this is the vision of Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada says, if you take up sadhana bhakti now, you are already established in the Brahmabhuta platform. Because clearly Krishna says, after attaining Brahmabhuta stage, one gets pure devotional service to me. Those acts of pure devotional service under the guidance of spiritual master we start executing now. So that way a bhakta automatically attains a position of pure devotional service which is at the Brahmabhuta stage. So this is the last sloka for today. For next week we will go further. A person who attains pure devotional service to Krishna, what does he do? So we'll go into that in the next session. Things become more and more exciting from here. Of course, we are in 56. 66 is the culmination of this 18th chapter. Krishna will speak his Charma Sloka. The ultimate Sloka will come in 66. So please stay connected and we will bring it to a proper conclusion. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Hare Krishna. Are there any questions or doubts? Yeah, thank you very much. So, to summarize what we have learned here, so in this chapter, Arjuna asked this question: what is the difference between renunciation and sannyasa? Krishna explained basically that renunciation of the fruits of work is preferable. Renunciation of work itself is not preferable. Whatever work you do in the nature of charity, sacrifice, and austerity should be continued, but without attachment to the fruits. Then that is perfect sannyasa. Actually, there is no difference between sannyasa and renunciation. But if you are contaminated by the gunas, sattva, rajo, tamo guna, then your renunciation is affected by that. So, how to go beyond the influence of the gunas? Krishna recommended, please follow your occupational duty. Please understand your nature and accordingly perform your duty. By doing that in a spirit of detachment, offering the fruits to Krishna, you can attain the highest perfectional stage of Brahma Bhuta. At that stage, you become equal to everyone, you become equal to whatever happens in your life, and at that stage, you become a pure devotee of Krishna. And that pure devotion is the goal of the soul. That is the original constitutional position of the soul, which is part and parcel of Krishna. So, in this way, through one's own occupational duty, whether one is a Brahmana or a Shudra, one can attain to that position. But in today's world, because Varnashrama has been lost, this spiritual path has been destroyed. So the souls are totally confused. So, in such a confused situation, what needs to be done is we have to take to the path of bhakti. That is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu incarnated in this world 500 years ago and he taught the Yuga Dharma of Harinama Sankirtan. Because Varnashrama is becoming topsy turvy, there is no recognition of a person who has got Brahminical qualities or a Shudra qualities. We want to treat everybody equally. So a Brahmana may have to fight a battle, or a Shudra may become a sannyasi, or he may become a priest, whatever it is. People who have totally different qualifications are forced to engage in different activities only to maintain themselves. According to us now, duty is only for self-preservation. Duty is not for purification. So, because we have segregated religion from our social life, all of us are suffering. In such a situation, devotion is the best path for all of us. We can all chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and pray to the Lord to engage us in His service. We can have an altar in our home. We can do a simple puja in the altar under the guidance of our spiritual master. We can take to the chanting of the holy names daily and perform whatever work we are doing without greed, without pride or envy. With whatever we get from our work, we should worship the Lord. We should not try to acquire name and fame, power and position, lot of properties, etc. That should not be the goal of our life, because the goal of life is to attain to God and enjoy there eternally. The soul has to enjoy with God eternally. This body is anyway subject to death, it cannot be there eternally. So we should not become too much attached to this body, to sense gratification, etc. Rather, we should do the needful. Now we have taken a body, so we have to do some work according to our nature, but the fruit should be used for worship of the Lord. And we should steadily become detached from material sense gratification and other attachments. So, next few slokas will take us to the crescendo. Krishna will take us why we are born here, what is our destination. These things will come in the remaining days. Thank you very much. So, because there are no more questions,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Can
Hare,
I?
yes, Prabhu, go on.
Prabhuji, it's a very materialistic question, but it came from the Sloka 47,
Yes.
wherein it is being talked about doing your own profession basis your qualities. But then what I understand is that's talking about guru selecting, identifying the qualities of a of a shishya and then probably doing it. In our cases, we don't even know whether the professions which we are in, we fit in. Some days we feel that yes, I am the best in this. Some days with the stress, we feel that I'm not up to the mark. So then there are things we try to upgrade ourselves in certain things and all those things. So it's all materialistic. I believe that it's a confused state. With my limited intelligence, I'm trying to upgrade myself to certain things. I'm doing certain things right on certain days. Yes, I'm trying uh, to do the karma in such a way that I'm not trying to concentrate on the results. That part is fine, but I am trying to ask one question wherein whether it is, I don't know whether I am I had taken the right kind of profession according to the qualities which I possess, because it was a trial and error. I
You
had
are absolutely right. We were never guided like that. See, the Gurukul life starts at the age of 5. From 5 to 25, Guru gives spiritual knowledge mainly, and he also gives occupational training according to the guna of the person which is identified by the Guru. Today, such a situation is not there. And if you recall, I recall, when I studied, my aim was okay to go earn a degree, get a post graduation. My father was in a bank, so he wanted that I should also become a bank a probationary officer. So he gave me as the goal. And what was the goal? To get a job where you can get a lot of promotions, you can get good income, so you can get married, you can raise a nice family, you can have very good sense gratification. Beyond that, what? Okay, we get children, get them married, and start another cycle, and you will one day die. What else was the goal of life? Did we at any point of time know that I am a spirit soul, hankering for freedom from this repeated cycle of birth and death? At no point in time we knew. So, obviously, this is not the time when you will try to discover what is your constitutional position, what is your guna, and accordingly to choose a job. But yes, few things you can do. One thing is, if you are engaged in a really, really sinful activity, because it is giving you a lot of money, whether it is in a big time slaughterhouse or something that sells intoxication or a gambling house, things like that, or a very poisonous entertainment industry. If you are into that, which is going to give you a lot of name, fame, money, reputation, uh, then maybe it's time to rework on that. What is the goal of your life that you have to see? And here we very clearly understood we have to maintain, only for that purpose there is an occupational duty to maintain yourself, that's all. And you have to draw the line somewhere. You should not get carried away by this name, fame, wealth, etc., which may have grown over you over a period of time. You are having 5 crores, then now you want to make it 10 crores, then you want to make it 20 crores, or you want to raise your reputation, recognition in the society. You have to become free from that. So once you free yourself from the attachment to the fruits of your work, a lot of things will become clear. And you have to re-establish yourself as a servant of God. You are a servant of the members of your family, and you are the servant of everyone around you. And Krishna is your master. In that understanding, if you approach every activity in your life, then the gunas will fail to influence you. You may be a person in tamoguna, rajoguna, sattva but you become free from the gunas because you have become free from the fruits of your work or attachment to your work. So that is why you can clearly understand now why in Kali Yuga, Yuga Dharma is Harinam Sankirtan. The Harinam will purify your consciousness, and you have to establish yourself in the position of servant of the Supreme Lord. By doing this, whatever else you are doing in this world, you are just doing the minimum. Like I told, the example of you are in a public toilet, you finish your business and get out quickly. You don't try to stay for a long in a public toilet. Nobody would plan to. This material world is like a public toilet. So here, trying to accumulate wealth and name and fame is like to become comfortable in a public toilet. So these understandings will help you. So you do what is needful. You don't run away from your duty saying, oh no, all the duties in this world are polluted. This company where I am working, they indulge in a lot of cheating and other such activities. I don't want to work here, I want to go to the forest. We should not become misguided like that. We know every duty there are imperfections, we accept it, but at the same time we don't try to exploit it for sense gratification in this material world. So this is the way we have to make our perspective very focused. Vyavasayatmika buddhi. Our aim is what? To become free from the cycle of birth and death and to go back home, back to God in this very lifetime. We don't want to come back because Kali Yuga is going to become worse and worse and worse. So with this focus, there is not that much problem whether you are in the perfect job that fits with your quality. That need not trouble you at all. We can focus on the other aspects of how to lead life in this Kali Yuga. Is that okay, Prabhu? Because beyond that we can't do. No scope.
Thank you, Babuji. It clarifies a lot because there is a confusion which comes in. A servitor approach in Harinam Sankirtan is what and Japa.
At the same time, you see, if you go on doing japa, your quality will be automatically elevated to sattva and beyond sattva. Gradually, you will see all sattva guna manifesting in you. Whether whatever you might have born in a tamo guna, you might be born in rajo guna, but it won't any longer stick to you. You will gradually rise towards sattva guna automatically. So everything will be adjusted by that.
Thanks a lot, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Yes, in my limited sense, I definitely had started feeling japa takes a lot of things out of you. That's definitely helping, Prabhuji. And I'm able to, I don't know the quality, but I am able to manage my 16 rounds due to kripa of the parampara. And so, yes, in the limited this thing, yes, I now sincerely started believing that japa helps you with that. But yes, being so involved in this material thing, all these questions keeps on coming, Babuji. That's why I had asked this.
Yeah.
I was resisting myself.
No, it's perfect. It's good. Not only you ask for yourself, but you ask for all the participants. So it's a very valid question. And if you don't ask in this session, you won't get a chance again. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Padmini Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Dandavata.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, actually, you told about this earlier also, but still, I want some more clarification. See, it's about this puja, Prabhuji. I remember you told about this earlier also. See, thing is, we have some deities at home which we have been praying for generations. Okay, now after becoming Krishna conscious, we have an altar for Krishna with all the things that have to be done. Simultaneously we are doing this puja also. I mean, the one we have been doing. Only thing, the what do you call, slokas or mantras that I have been chanting have come down. Now what I'm doing is I'm seeing Krishna in each and every deity. Like I tell, because I cannot, I mean, stop praying. I tell whatever I'm praying to this God is going to reach Krishna ultimately, because he is the origin, he is the one, and he is all deities are expansions of Krishna. I'm not able to, what do you call, totally concentrate only on Krishna. I'm praying to other deities also. Now how do I come out of it? How do I stop praying? I that fear or guilt or whatever is there, I'm not able to come out of it, Prabhuji. Even though I know all of them are expansions of Krishna, I'm still praying to those gods also.
Yeah, but when you say expansions, Mataji, there are two types, Swamsa and Vibhinamsa. So the demigods are Vibhinamsa expansions. Even the Jiva soul is a Vibhinamsa. We are we are on different platforms. When the Lord Himself expands, the what we call the Yuga avatars, the Leela avatars, the Manvantara avatars, Purusha avatars, these are Lord's own expansion. But when you come to the level of demigods, they are also Jivas like us. They have taken the position like Indra, Chandra, Varuna, Vayu. They are actually not personalities, they are positions, and different jivas will occupy their position in different times. When their one person's lifetime is over, another jiva will occupy. So there is really There is no relationship. Like, for example, there is a company and there is a chairman. The chairman position will be occupied by different people at different times. So that is a position of demigods. So you really cannot have a relationship with a demigod other than a mercantile relationship. Mercantile relationship is okay. You go to a shop where you can buy some items, you pay the price and they will give you, that's all. Relationship is not there. It's you give the price and they give you the article. That is the situation of all demigods. So if you have created a sentimental attachment to these demigods, please understand that is out of ignorance that it has developed. Yeah, because the relationship with the demigod cannot be on a personal level. It is possible only at the level of Krishna and his Swamsa expansions like Rama or Narsingadev or Parshuram. They are the expansions of the Supreme Lord directly. So this one thing you understand. So there is no need to worship them. That is very clear. There is no need for worshipping demigods. If you don't worship demigods, whether they will curse you, whether you have to suffer some punishments, etc., not at all. Or whether demigods will give you something extra which the Supreme Lord cannot give. No, that is also wrong. So be clear in your mind on all these things. So there is no sentimental reason for you to worship any of these people. But at the same time, if it is going to make somebody unhappy, people from your husband's family or your own family, your relatives, etc., if they are going to look down upon you and they say, oh, you are such a fundamentalist or a fanatic, you simply, ISKCON people have polluted you, how can you give up the worship of gods who have been worshipping for generations? They may say all these things. So in order to be on the good books of everyone, you can make a show of these worships, but in your heart of hearts, you are not praying to them for any benefit. You are only doing it to set a good example to others. Okay, I am maintaining the family traditions. But within your heart, no, these are not the people I am worshipping, not praying to them. I respect them. In fact, we have to respect Trinatapi Sunichena. We have to respect everyone. Amanina, Manadena. Even an ant we have to respect. In that sense, if you respect a demigod, that's a big offense. Not a small offense, big offense. We cannot disrespect demigods, but keep everybody in their place. So first of all, please clear your consciousness and then do the needful. At that point of time, there can be no suggestions or prescriptions. You do the needful at this situation, because each person has a different situation within the family. If somebody is going to point a finger at you and say, see, in the name of Krishna, you are neglecting your family traditions and all those things, then maybe you should not give room for that. If you can preach to them, you can bring them to that level of understanding, you can do that also. But it all depends on the individual situations.
Yes, Prabhuji. Actually, even though I pray to all those gods, the only thing I ask is, earlier there were so many things we used to ask, but now all I ask is to help me to go back to Krishna. That is the only request that is being made to all those gods. So, to help in whatever way it is, you help me to go back to Krishna. That is the only thing.
Fair enough. But please understand that prayer is not required. It is not necessary for us to pray to demigods to go back to Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji.
This recommendation is made only so that your prayers can be gradually purified. We tell don't pray for any material benefits to demigods. Actually, we don't pray for any material benefits to Krishna also. But if you have to pray for material benefits, you should pray only to Krishna. Only to Krishna. Demigods, you don't go for any material obligations. So, but you still have demigods, then you just worship them as mark of gratitude. You can thank them. Please, you have brought me to Krishna. Thank you very much. You have brought me to Krishna. I worshipped you sincerely all these years, and you are all devotees of Krishna, and you have given me mercy. You have brought me to Krishna. Thank you very much. So, as a mark of gratitude, you can worship them. As it is, having demigod worship and praying to them is not an anga of bhakti. It's not necessary. Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Right.
You.
Prabhuji, I have one question.
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, in today's discussion, we got a point that thought leads to action, action to habit, habit to character and character to destiny.
Yeah.
In this process, when I find myself and mostly predominantly of Sudra category. Now, in our Vaidhi Bhakti process, apart from, because we are not following this Varnashrama Pratha, so we are following this Vaidhi Bhakti process as suggested or given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So in this process also I have to elevate gradually from Sudra to Brahminical level. No, then only I can go higher and higher.
No, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything. You have to simply follow the instructions of the spiritual master. What guidance is given to you in organizing your day-to-day life, you have to simply, with faith, strictly execute those practices. You will automatically go beyond the three gunas. That's what Prabhupada is saying. If you have accepted a spiritual master and if you are executing his instructions with regard to bhakti, then you are already in the Brahmabhuta stage. Rather, you have gone beyond the Brahmabhuta stage. That is the purport of what Prabhupada is saying. So you don't have to do anything different to elevate yourself from the level of Shudra. Actually, the scripture says, Kalau Shudra Sambhavaha. In Kali Yuga, there is no Brahmana or Kshatriya or Vaishya. Kalau Shudra Sambhavaha. All of us are Shudras. Actually, if you see, one predominant characteristic of Shudra is he is dependent on others for his livelihood. He takes up a job. He wants others to look after him. He is not in a position to look after himself. He may be a PhD, multiple MS from abroad, etc., etc. But still, they will ultimately go to somebody with a CV and look for a job. That is a Shudra characteristic. So Kali Yuga is full of Shudras only. But that is why the Yuga Dharma given here, even deity worship, we are not qualified. So we have been given the Yuga Dharma of Harinam Sankirtan. Chetor Darpana Marjanam, it will purify your consciousness and it will take you straight to Brahmabhuta and beyond that stage. So there is no separate effort to be made, but at the same time, see, for example, we learn about the qualities of a sattvic person, what kind of food a sattvic person eats, what kind of a happiness a sattvic person enjoys, what kind of determination, understanding, knowledge he has. We know all these things. It is good to keep this in your mind. So you don't indulge in the kind of food that Shudra likes. Even though we may be tempted to eat that kind of food, we avoid it. Thinking, okay, my guru has advised me to stay away from this. I will not eat this. I will not take onion, garlic. I will not engage in intoxication. Even though as a Shudra, we may be always attracted towards sense gratification. But because you accepted the spiritual master, we are saved from all those things. So automatically, without making any extra endeavor, by simply engaging in sadhana bhakti under strict guidance of spiritual master, you will be elevated straight away. In this one lifetime, you can go back to God. So we don't have to make it very complicated. There are no complicated procedures at all. Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, thank you. Very encouraging. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Otherwise, I also would not have been able to maintain. Everybody has this problem. But we have been given such a simple solution by Mahaprabhu. Jivara Swarupahai, Krishna Nityadas. He has made us free from this bodily identification. Body is Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, Brahmachari, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasi. But the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, I am none of these things. I am simply Gopi, Bhartru, Pada Kamalayor, Das, Dasanu, Das. That means from body, we are detaching our our identification, and we are attaching with the soul. And the soul is Krishna's eternal servant. That way you have already become transcendental. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Any other questions? Shivakumar Prabhu was there. Yeah, Shivakumar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
One question may be wrong in asking, but I just want to make my point. Suppose if we are in a particular profession, and if you want to switch over to a better profession or a higher grade profession, can this be treated as taking responsibility of others kind of thing?
So ultimately, why we do what we do. What we do is less important than why we do what we do. So that is a matter for our own introspection. So if I take up responsibilities for others and I have to work maybe 14 hours a day for 6 days a week, and that will mean that I won't be able to wake up early in the morning. I won't be able to do my morning chanting and deity worship nicely, and I will be constantly disturbed by material anxieties. I am voluntarily putting myself into that situation, then no, it is not advisable.
Okay.
Once we know what is our goal of life, then why should we allow anything to distract us? So if somebody has a main problem with managing his responsibilities for family and others, and they need a better income source, and they do something, that is a different situation. But if we are
Okay.
voluntarily putting ourselves into a different situation, that will take us away from God consciousness and put us more and more into material consciousness. That means we are asking to be entangled. No, we want to be disentangled, not entangled.
Okay. Okay.
Hare
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji, for clarity. For your advice.
Krishna. Vancha
Hare Krishna.
kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gurudev ki jai. Thank you very much. We'll meet again next week. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Dandot Pranam.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Wonderful session, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. We are really blessed to have you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Jai Srila Prabhupada. Every single credit goes to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, can I ask one small question? My personal question. Prabhuji, actually, thing is, I already quit my bank. I was doing a bank job. I quit that. Now financially, okay, I need not work now. I can sustain myself. Everything is fine. But just to keep myself engaged for the past 2 years, I've not been doing anything. So just to keep myself engaged, I've started learning handwriting analysis, a skill like to become a handwriting analyst. So does it? Is it right to do it, or you think when I'm already financially sound, why go and do all this? Is it necessary or is it not necessary to do it?
Yes, Mataji, what do you think?
See, actually, that's where there is a confusion, Prabhuji. Thing is, see, one thing is I want to do this for what do you call? Not just for finance. Finance something will come, but to help others, especially people who are in need, where I can help them out in some way or the other, to alleviate their pains or whatever, to make them understand themselves so that they can lead better lives. This is one aspect of the thing.
Mataji, I will give you a generic answer
Yeah.
because I cannot give you a personalized answer because I don't know you very well. But this is a generic answer I am giving you. That is what I would like to say is there are so many people out there who are there to help the society. They are not devotees. They are not pursuing spiritual advancement. Such people are there in the world who would like to help the human society. But please remember, when you make progress in spirituality, you are benefiting the whole society. Prabhupada would say, Krishna consciousness is the greatest welfare work for the entire, not only human society, to everyone. So that way, if you have strong faith that by investing your time on Krishna consciousness, to read the scriptures in the association of devotees, and to preach, you can have a full-time activity of preaching, either online or offline. In various ways, you can do book distribution. So there are so many amazing ways in which you can serve the society. But at the same time, if this is such a passion for you that you are really enjoying what you are doing, then I would not try to stop you also, because see, sometimes it happens that if we are stopped from pursuing our passion, then our spiritual life also weakens. So that is why I am not giving a particular recommendation this way or that way. It is something that you have to ask yourself. would you be able to spend the rest of your life reading scriptures, listening to lectures, taking association of devotees, practicing the 9 processes of bhakti, preaching to others? If this gives you a full package and full happiness, then please do it only. But for some reason your mind is wavering, try and find out why this disturbance is coming. Because we already know in the words of scriptures and in the words of Prabhupada that Krishna consciousness is the highest welfare work. So why we should do any other welfare work at all? Like building a hospital, building a school, building a old age home. These are all welfare work. But not that a devotee has to do this. Other people who will do these things. Mataji, this is my personal opinion. This is not a customized recommendation to you. You have to take your decision. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji. I'll definitely think about it and take the proper decision.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.